Going to and then this is where I want to have the conversation with you all in regards to maybe something that hasn't been working for me quite yet, and it is the Flag Smashers, but not in particularly Karli Morgenthau. Now, the actress, I believe her name is Erin Kelly something. I can't think of her last name right now, but I think she's a good up and coming actress. She has some love in Disney. We saw her in Solo, and she always seems to have a group of people that follow her. So that's a good thing for her as an actress. Kellyman, I think that's her last name. But I like the story they're presenting to us, and not to get into the whole conversation of WandaVision and why I like what Hayward represented, not necessarily execution of the character. What Hayward represented to me in WandaVision was the thematic theme of like, we can't trust the Avengers. We want to make our own heroes. General Ross, what we'll see in the future. But right now, what they're giving us with Flag Smashers, they're not just traditional villains. They're trying to help people out, but the means of doing so might seem villainous. But I want to kick it off with you, Chris, regarding your take on not only just the Flag Smashers, but what are you theorizing, Karli Morgenthau, when she mentions in this episode, once we do what we're going to do tomorrow, which I assume is whatever these vaccines are, and they're going to release a virus or whatever the case may be, but just your take on, are you liking the Flag Smashers? Are they working for you? Or are they just kind of, what's your take on this group of terrorists?
I mean, at this point, I feel like I'm supposed to understand them more than I do, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Karli was a great addition to me. I was like, I like this girl already. Like I said, I mentioned it before. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's the accent. I'm weak. But I think I just don't understand what it is. And then the other, what's the guy's name? The other villain that we're dealing with here.
Zemo.
No, not Zemo.
Power.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So like, I don't understand really where we're going with it, but I got the vibe of like, okay, like these dudes, like they wouldn't have shown the scene of like the guy taking the fall. He was kind of like the sacrificial lamb. I don't think they would have shown that if they didn't want to humanize these people.
Right. Right.
So we'll see where it goes. I'm not really there yet. I don't know yet.
I don't know how to describe. I'm right there with you, man. I don't know how to feel about the characters, because I think they're trying to make us sympathize with them in a sense, but we really haven't spent like no time with them besides, like you said, the guy dying, and they go to this kind of hideout spot, and we kind of get an understanding that they're kind of, I don't want to say worship, but there's a group of people that are that support them, that want to, and it makes so much sense. Again, this is kind of my Hayward comparison, that it would make sense. There's a group of people in the world that liked what went down with the blip, because it makes so much sense that for $3 billion, and I'm not trying to be sinister, and I know by no means am I wanting to be on Thanos' side, but it would make sense that for 5 years, there were 3 billion people gone from the earth, which means that poverty was probably extremely low. People were getting, help and credit, getting houses they can live in. The economy was probably thriving. And now that 3 billion people have returned, we're forgotten about. What about the people that survived and kept the world afloat, and how that can kind of transfer? So it'll be really interesting to learn more about her motivations and who her parents may be. That might be something to look forward to. But toss into you, Tessa, regarding this kind of, how are you feeling about the motives of our villains?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's like exactly what you described. It's why Thanos did it. So he thought he was helping. But yeah, I am right there with you guys, where I feel like we haven't spent enough time with them to really understand what is exactly going on. And if you don't know anything comics wise, then you don't know anything. Like, I think that's only what's helped me a little bit, is like comics wise kind of who Flag Smasher is and what they're kind of doing. I mean, same name, except it's Carl, not Karli in the comics. But even having that, I still am like, what are they doing? What's going on? Like, normally, and I'm a villain. I love villains. I'm always the villains
for the villains.
Yeah. And so,
same.
And in this, I'm just like, all right. I mean, I guess like, what are they're talking about this thing they're going to do tomorrow. So that's kind of where I was thinking, like, what are they going to release the virus? And then they have the vaccine for only their people. I don't know. I hope we get more in the next one. I mean, we're 2 episodes. We're 1/3 of the way through. And I feel like I need a little more, and hopefully we're going to get it. I think we are. I think they're setting up for more of that, although they kind of set up for Zemo. So is that going to take over next episode and we're still not going to know what's going on with these people? I don't know. I thought I would be upset when that guy died, and I just was like, oh, and she's crying, and I was even like, okay, I'm sorry you're crying. I don't care. I don't know enough about him yet, I guess.
It's something you mentioned there in regards to the gender swap in the characters, and we're assuming that Carl in the comics, which is the Flag Smasher that puts this group together, maybe the MCU might introduce him and this is his daughter and maybe he died and maybe this is kind of motivations of like the world forgotten about, my dad died because we, all these people came back and he didn't have the resources that he had 5 years ago. I'm just obviously theorizing that maybe something was wrong with him and he didn't have the proper resources to keep him for whatever he passed away with. And now that was her motives to be like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of now the world coming back and the government not helping my dad, the real Flag Smash or the real, Karli Morgenthau. But your take on this, Brandon, regarding this Robin Hood-ish type of characters, are you feeling any emotions towards the Flag Smashers, or is it thematically, is it working for you, this group of terrorists?
I'm feeling zero emotion from the Flag Smashers.
Yeah.
Tessa, I'm right there with you 100%. When that dude died at the end, I felt nothing at all. I was kind of saying to myself, that was stupid. You could have got away, but I don't want to think far ahead.
They could have. They're super soldiers. Like you can't just hurry up.
It was kind of silly. But I mean, what is her name? I mean, she's cute and I respect what she's trying to do. Like the show hasn't presented it to us yet that that there was some euphoria doing the blip and everybody was holding hands and in unity, and that makes sense. I get it, but if we're going to be getting this much screen time from these Flag Smashers, it does need to be fleshed out more because it just hasn't, and I don't feel anything for them. I'm nervous too because we only have 4 episodes left, and I'm like, are we going to have enough time to develop these characters as well as Zemo and whoever else is behind the scenes? I don't know, and they're obviously trying to humanize these characters because, like y'all said, he did it. He sacrificed himself, and you have these other people that are taking them into their homes. Like, oh my gosh, you guys are legends, and we cook chicken lizards, and we got this on internet, and we, my wife cleaned up and made the bed. So they're not evil, but I just, who are they? I don't care right now, and I'm kind of wishing that we had 9 episodes. Just I don't know. I'm a little worried that they're not going to be able to tie every bow by the end of this series. But we'll see.
We will see, and that is such a great point, and that is the gift and the curse of Marvel. We know that this is only 6 episodes, but we know, unlike any other property, that DC, there might be a director to a project this day, and the next day the project's canceled. But we know that there will be more stories to be told in the MCU in Phase 4, so it has that to its advantage. And I already know that there's going to be certain storylines that we will not get wrapped up in this show because they're going to probably announce, the actual Captain American 4 being, Sam Wilson, and they maybe continue thematically some of the themes, Secret Invasions, Hawkeye. There's going to be like a through line, but I'm totally with you there, man. 6 episodes. Zemo's in the mix. We still haven't met Sharon Carter yet. We just got which we'll talk about Isaiah here in a bit. So there is.
I forgot about her too.
There is some storylines that will probably not be wrapped up, but we'll see. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to give us these next 4 episodes. We'll probably flesh these characters out, but I'm right there with you all. I'm not really feeling. It's kind of hard to take them as like the serious villains because once they take off their mask and we see them just being like, oh, we got a bed, we got chicken, to me it's like, okay, you guys don't seem too menacing. And then on the sympathy side, I don't know them to care to be like, yeah, they're sticking into the government. We, like you said, Brandon, the only thing we saw from Endgame was, or to say the blip was in Endgame, because Spider-Man didn't give us any of that, right? It was all, they were on a trip. It was happy out. Well, not happy, but it wasn't dive into the world. But in Endgame, we see Cap go to the meeting. We see Natasha Romanoff and her kind of moments of sadness, and it felt like an episode of Leftovers. But that's like the only thing we saw in the MCU regarding the post, the blip. So it will be interesting, I guess. There's another spinoff show for Disney, right? The Blip, the 5 years of exploring.
I would watch that. People coming back. Can you imagine you're dating someone new and like your spouse comes home? How does that even?
Hey,
I want to see multiple series in that 5 years.
I would love that.
I would love that, specifically Ronin. But
which again begs the question. I think each show will probably dive a little deeper into that. I think She-Hulk is a perfect show to explore. A lawyer bringing people back, how that looks legally speaking. People were in jail for 10 years and then they were blipped for 5 years, or they have a 5-year reduction off their jail sentence. Things like that. Like
that's a fair question.
It is, right? Yeah. So I mean, I think there will be future shows that will be diving into the post blip. Hey man, this is stuff I think about all the time, man. Like. But
That's really good.
nonetheless,
That's really good.
cutting back